I'm recovered from my adjustment Friday night.
Well, that's good to know. Good to know. Well,
It
George,
was
that was a big adjustment we did Friday night, and
very fun. Yeah,
for
that
for
was huge.
for anyone who didn't catch some of the audio there, I apologize. I'm working on getting my video up here, but um, Dr. George and we meet once a month. We talk philosophy, we talk energy, we talk healing, we talk politics, we talk reality. And in the midst of all that, I decided to have well, Dr. George needed an adjustment, so I started to work on with him, and it was a big one. It was a big one Friday night.
Yeah, it was huge. Yeah, it took me through the weekend. When I woke up Monday, I felt like a different person. Like it's like a whole new headspace. Everything. I'm seeing different things when I adjust people. It was one of those evolution adjustments, Kev. Thank you.
Well, you're very welcome. I
Are we allowed to know what it was?
what was that, Sasha? You broke up there.
Are we allowed to know what it was?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely share what we did.
Okay.
So essentially, with what we're using here, and I apologize, ladies and gentlemen, you can't see me on all the cameras. I'm working on that while I'm telling a story. Let's try this camera. Let's see what happens with this one. And so I started off with a traditional chiropractic adjustment, but using KST, using the OD, I found started working some stuff that was energetically above and within the abdomen. So a lot of the stomach stuff. I am unclear exactly what that was about for him. That wasn't the most important piece.
I felt stomach pain for the next 2 days, and I've never had that. And I was like, "What?" And I got it wasn't food, it wasn't physical, it was some energetic thing. I guess that I had to let go of
Okay.
something. I was, yeah. So yeah, that was profound.
Well,
Like this, it was weird. I mean, good weird, but weird.
well, yeah, good, weird, but weird. And so George, what do you call that? Now, I know the name that we use when someone gets an adjustment, and there's lots of terms for this, in my opinion. When someone gets an adjustment, just like if they ate bad chicken at a restaurant and then they went home and vomited,
Yeah, yeah,
that's a healthy response by the body,
yeah, yeah.
right? So the ability of, we call it retracing.
It could be retracing. I kind of because retracing to me would have meant I had had that before and it hadn't healed all the way when it came up. It was as if I became aware of something that I hadn't been aware of before.
Mm,
I got this distinct impression like I didn't eat anything bad. It was just like, oh, this has been in there for a long time and it didn't know it was in there. And I just have to be patient with that. I was like spacey, and it was weird. I actually, when I was riding Sunday, I adjusted myself again and had like Atlas and coccyx a little bit, and that kind of cleared it up a little. Um, I was working on light sleep for a couple nights, and I think that's part of why I had to lie down for a half hour after I got adjusted. Um, but when I woke up Monday, it felt like right as rain.
yeah, I mean, we did a number of spots with the instrument on and off the body around the abdomen. I did
Yeah.
something what's called injury recall technique. This is where
Mm-hmm.
we work with the subconscious mind and old patterns of thinking that are unknown to the conscious mind. It's kind of like that automatic behavior that we sometimes we act like mom, dad, or somebody else in our life, and it just comes out. And at the same time, I also think it's this conversation of nature and nurture. There's components of you that you came in with, George, and then of course there was things that
Yeah.
you were introduced to, and well, we are in transformative times energetically, when, in the world and in ourselves, because there's this idea as above, so below, above, down, inside out, right, George?
Right. Yep. Yeah, nature, nurture, all that stuff. I mean, those are the deep issues that were going through my mind like all weekend too.
Mm.
I'm not like, oh, this is inconvenient. Like, what does this mean? What is this? And I'm asking a million questions. Is it, I just think we're all having to look at the world or getting to look at the world a different way. And what are my values? What really is important and what's not important?
Mm.
Um, and not all definitive decisions yet, but it definitely opened me up to the opportunity to examine closer and deeper. What's going on in my world,
Well,
and how do I affect other people? How do I wake people up? How do I accept them where they are? All that.
wow, great conversation for today. And so before we continue to move forward, I'm going to introduce Dr. Vesta here in a second. We are talking about remote healing. We're talking about distance healing. We're talking about quantum healing. That is what Synergy Solutions is and works with. And we use a technique called Corin-specific technique, among other techniques that we've all, each of the doctors have studied under. But there's one thing that ties it all together, in my opinion, is this concept, is this protocol that we call the occipital drop. Vesna, is there other ways to describe the occipital drop? I put you on the spot here. There's a term, binary, like zeros and ones, like computer language. What biofeedback, meaning the body, there's a component of the human body that's responding to a yes, or we can see a yes, we can see a no. What for the chiropractors out there? What other terms come to mind? For maybe even the average person out there, what ideas or what concepts that were already in use come to mind?
Lie detector. I mean, it like kind of works like a lie detector. It's just a simple way to communicate to the body with the body and get yes/no responses.
You know what? That's a perfect analogy, because we can imagine a lie detector, and I would love to have a picture of this right now. It'd be great. But we can imagine a lie detector, and then when that response in the body, it's uncontrollable, it's automatic, right? It pushes the needle one direction or the other. And so so people have heard about muscle testing. The muscle stays strong when the muscle appears to go relaxed or weak. There's the pendulum in I'll say in more of the mystical or esoteric, spiritual consciousness communities. But it's the body automatic responding. It's like, I'll say the word sympathetic response. The sweat glands start happening. Yeah, Dr. George, what do you got there?
Magnets.
Magnets, exactly.
They stick together or they push apart.
Simple. Sasha, Dr. Sasha, tell us a little bit more about the OD, some analogies we could use. What comes to your mind?
Okay, I think. Well, binary is the way computers work.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
The things that we're all using to connect with each other today. And humans, we're just like we're sort of like a big cosmic computer, if you like. So it's the same in principle.
Exactly, same in principle. So if depending on your age, maybe you've seen the movie The Matrix, and you see all those green zeros and ones flying up and down the screen. It makes me think of dowsing, when the American Indians, and I know different cultures around the world in history used, copper? Used 2 copper wires, or even wood, and
you can use a stick, a wooden stick.
And how they responded would determine where people would find water. And this is very accurate, extremely accurate. What else? So these are some concepts that I want everyone out there, the public, anyone who's tuning in at any point, to know that this is backed with our everyday science, and then we have examples in our history and culture, and we're just applying it in a new way. With the advancement of these new technologies, we can communicate anywhere in the world with camera. And if you're like me, you have too many technologies running on your computer to make this happen. Certain things are working out the bugs, but so here we are. We have a way to communicate with you energetically, with anyone who's tuning in energetically, and get feedback with a yes or a no. So then it's like, well, the question becomes important, just like we talk about in KST. Can I help you? And can we get a yes response or a no response? Is it safe for me to do this work? Can I connect with you? And these are all questions that I know I've used in the past, but we have documented evidence to find this ability to connect remotely with people and shift their body, their mind into positive directions. So thank you for this conversation, everybody. What?
Bioplasma.
Bioplasma.
In the Pathways magazine, the lady talks about bioplasma, and plasma from the plasma space. It's charged particles in motion. So there's information in that field of energy, and so when we're having a conversation with somebody's field of energy, our question impinges upon them in a way that causes the field to give us a yes or no answer. It sounds weird and esoteric, but it really comes down to, plus and minus charges. And if we're going to, ask a question that, is your sphenoid bone subluxated? If it is, it's, a cell can't be in growth and defense at the same time. It's either going to move towards something or move away from it. So if we're asking sphenoid, are you subluxated? It's going to get worse for a second, and their field is going to shift, and that's going to shift our field. Now the magnets cause, the thumb to drop down. That was kind of a raggedy explanation of it, but I'm trying to be brief.
Well, I appreciate that, George. And so let's make a bridge of how we are in our current medical system around the world, and that explanation you just gave. The simplest thing for me to say is magnetic MRI, magnetic resonance imaging. We're taking pictures of anatomy inside our physical body through magnets with the forces of magnetism.
Well, yeah, the water molecules spin, the rate they spin back to their normal orientation is picked up and turned into an image. It's like, that's pretty crazy.
I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing. Let's appreciate where technology has gotten us and the detail we can have. And what we're finding out is, well, we can affect that, not necessarily needing all those tests. So yeah, it's nice to have the confirmation of those tests over the last, I don't know how long MRI has been employed. But I know there's study after study after study of functional MRIs and brain scans and this, that, and the other thing. And now we're confirming that the ideas, the concepts that we're talking about here are provable and repeatable. Right. So right. I don't want to say we'll stop using MRI or stop using different technologies to see the human body and the human fields. However, at some point we don't have to use it.
Right.
Because ultimately, shooting, how do I say this correctly? Taking someone and doing an MRI and doing an X-ray, we're injecting forces that cause a reaction, and sometimes those reactions are not for the greatest health of that individual. I mean, how many times did they X-ray people's arms back in the day before the arm burned off? The stories of old X-ray units and people doing things to see how it worked. Yeah.
Madame Curie, right? Died of radiation poisoning, of course.
Yeah. So these are forces of nature. Yes, we can harness them, but yet we do have a point of negative return here. All right, everybody. Well, I want to take a moment and thank the doctors for the commentary. This is the part of the show. Now, I'm doing a new thing because I still wanted to provide value and insight to people out in the world. So I've streamed this out to 7 channels, and hopefully some value upgrade, some knowledge upgrade, some wisdom upgrade, some perspectives of life and reality upgrades. But now we're going to shift into the private members area, and anyone who has that private access will be seeing the rest of the stream. And just anyone who's on the private access, they can come and log into the show now on the webinar and join us live. And I want to take a moment and thank all the doctors for being here. There's a few that couldn't make it today. We have a rolling attendance of between 4 to 8 doctors, 4 to 7 doctors, and we're going to expand that here in the near future as well. So thank you, everybody, and now we're going to flip over to the private area. All right, have a wonderful day, and we'll be back real soon.